But before that, I want to talk about a deputy-involved shooting that occurred last night. This is Bill Hoagland. He's 33 years of age, and I want to point out the spelling of the name's different. It's not any kin to the Red Hoagland Hyundai dealership in Winter Haven, so that there's no misunderstanding there. So about Sunday morning, Bill Hoagland and his wife have been arguing because some night last week he didn't come home. So he leaves the house on Sunday morning again, and it's reported to us from his wife that she can tell that he's been drinking, and apparently he drinks throughout the day. And last night there was a 911 call to the sheriff's office just prior to 10 o'clock about a suicidal male. And this call was created because he being Bill Hoagland, was on Facebook Live with a shotgun to his head. His parents saw this, his wife saw this, apparently some friends saw this. So of course they dial 911 to say that, hey, it looks like old Bill's fixing to shoot himself with a shotgun. We began immediately searching for him, and during the same period of time, the Bartow Police Department also gets a phone call because that's where they live, and they're working with the victim on that end. Let me just get right down to the bottom line. The bottom line is, through investigative and technology techniques, we found him. We found him in his vehicle underneath an overpass on the Nichols Road. And you might ask yourself, well, where is Nichols Road? Well, the answer would be, you can live here your whole life and wouldn't know where Nichols Road is. It is west and south of Mulberry. So he's down this small road, and he has driven off of the road and underneath an overpass where there is no road, and he's backed in. So we have 5 deputies there. We're talking with and have determined that, in fact, that's him, that's his vehicle. We work on a strategy to approach him. So with our lights and our firearms drawn, we approach him and we announce sheriff's office. Sheriff's office put down the shotgun, come out and talk to us. What we didn't know, I'll pause here, what we didn't know at that time is he's on the phone with his wife and he says to her, "They're here." So he knows we're here, and we announce we're here. And they said at that particular time, the deputies, when they told him to put his hands up and come out, he raises both hands in the air. And then he goes down, picks up a shotgun, and shoots at us through the passenger side of the vehicle, through the windshield, with a 20 gauge shotgun. One of my deputies struck in the arm with some of the pellets from the shotgun. Our deputies returned fire, and he goes down in the seat. When the initial volley of shots are over, he screams out to our deputies, "I'm done, I'm done, I'm done." And we tell him to get out of the car, and he does. We have taken him to Lakeland Regional Hospital, where he's treated for one through and through bullet wound to his arm, and there's fragments of bullets and or glass that are in his head and his back from where he went down in the seat. It was a great night for us, even though that our one deputy has pellets, shotgun pellets in his arm. He was treated and released. We thank God that our deputy wasn't injured, and we also are thankful that we were able to take Bill Hoagland into custody and deliver him to the hospital, where he is being treated for his medical issues at this time. Subsequent to that, our investigation's ongoing. We anticipate that we will file charges of 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder where he shot at our 5 deputies last night. So at the end of the day, his family said he suffered from some depression issues, but let me explain to you. We found a bottle of whiskey, Fireball whiskey, in his vehicle. You drink whiskey all day long, it doesn't make things better. So you can call it depression, you can call it whatever, but when you get drunk enough to hold a gun to your head and then shoot at deputies, that's not good, and that's on him. And the reason we shot him was because he chose to have us shooting when he shot at us first. So the clear message is, we'll help you if you'll let us. But if you put our life in danger, you shoot at us, we're going to shoot back until we've stopped the threat. This time the threat was stopped and he's alive and will live to rethink his conduct, hopefully in state prison for a very, very long time. He's dangerous. He's dangerous to himself. He's certainly dangerous to others, because if you'll shoot at a law enforcement officer, you'll shoot at anyone. Are there any questions about this one? That's pretty much all that I know anyway, so I don't know if I could have answered any more questions. But now I want to go back. I first want to introduce you to the victim. I want you to see the victim. This is Danny Frazier. The reason we're releasing the victim's name, we've already talked to the parents. And this was released when he was reported to Lakeland Police Department as a missing person. Danny is a good person, a great person. Danny is known to be just a super individual. And when he didn't show up from work like he was supposed to, his mother became very, very concerned. He works for Publix supermarkets in the warehousing, and he always shows up like he's supposed to from work to his parents' house, which is where he lives. So when he didn't, what occurred was his mother called and said, "Hey, look, my son got off work at, just after 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's not home." And that is absolutely, unequivocally not like him at all. So he left Publix at 2:08 in the morning, when by 11:40 he did not show up on November the 4th. Mom called. Well, the Lakeland Police Department immediately began to work this up and determined that his vehicle was missing as well, so they put it in the computer system. We also saw where someone tried to do a cash app in Bartow, and that was later in the day on the 4th. Now let's fast forward. So he's gone the 4th, he's gone the 5th, and he's gone all day on the 6th. Mom, as she should be, was frantic. This young man is like the perfect child. And he just doesn't do these things. So now let's take you to Friday night. Friday night, Flagler County Sheriff's Office sees the vehicle that the Lakeland Police Department have put in the computer, and they make a traffic stop. When they do, Jojo Lobato, who's a Hispanic male, 19, flees from the vehicle. Angel Lobato, who is 18 years of age, his brother, stays in the vehicle. So they contact the Lakeland Police Department and say, "Hey, we got this vehicle here, and someone has fled." We later determined it was Jojo, and Angel is the one who stayed. There was not in the Flagler County Sheriff's Office reason to hold him at that time, but they kept the vehicle and let him go. Still, we don't know where our victim is. So now let's come to from the 6th of November to the 10th of November. Mom of the victim is freaking out because the car's been recovered. It's in these two guys. They're not in custody. Nobody's in custody. Her son's still missing. There is a work team that is out looking at some property off Tyndall Camp Road and Helicopter Road. Now, for those of you who know where Tyndall Camp Road may be, you're in the small number of people in this county because it's way out north of and a little east of Lake Wells. So these folks are looking at this property and they come upon a trash pile, and there is the remains of a human being that obviously have been covered up in this with brush and a piece of a tree. And so they say to themselves, "Self, this looks like a murder to me." So they notify the sheriff's office and we arrive. Upon our arrival, we identify Danny as the victim. And now we are backtracking because now we're the third agency involved in this when we find the victim. We work with the Lakeland Police Department and we find out that these two folks are involved in the event. We spend a period of time tying stuff together, but we can't find them. They're in the wind. So we get information. We get information that they are at the Advanced Auto Parts in Lake Wells in another vehicle that they've borrowed. The Lake Wells Police Department, who's on our frequency, and our Southeast District deputies all rush to the scene, and Lake Wells police officers and our deputies take these two guys into custody. We bring them to the office, and I'm going to give you the short version of all of this. They confessed. And their confession is absolutely horrific. Their confession was how proud that they were. You see, when we arrested them, JoJo had short hair like in this, but that night JoJo had long hair and dreadlocks. Well, guess what? He returned to the shaved head look. And he was putting this online on social media. M1 on me. We're going to do the race till there ain't no wheels, like whatever this group is, Tay-K, this rap group, Tay-K, for real, for real. Well, let me tell you something, JoJo. You might have thought you were in a race, but your wheels are all four flat, and you're locked up in the county jail. So you were racing and you hit a wall, and it was called the Polk County Sheriff's Office. And we locked you up, and the only thing you're going to be doing now is racing for your turn in the showers. You're done. This is vicious murder. So we talked to them. They both gave us confessions such as this. They had planned this murder for about 3 weeks. They went online, social media. They had some common friends. And so it was set up that JoJo was going to meet our victim to have sex. The victim picked him up in downtown Central Park in Winter Haven in the city. And he drove him around to Lake Howard, which is not far away. Well, who's hanging out in the bushes, hidden? Angel, the brother, is. So Angel's hiding by a parking lot on Lake Howard with a baseball bat. JoJo has a knife. They've schemed this plan out. Okay, once you get him here, then you pretend to distract him and stab him. And he did. And a fight ensued. And our victim, Danny, was fighting for his life. And in the process of fighting, and in the process of JoJo now, who stabbed him and the knife broke, the next thing you know, they finally get the door open. Angel has to knock the window out of the door because the door's locked. Angel starts hitting him in the head with a baseball bat. Now they're downtown Winter Haven, where the murder actually occurred. Then they go, well, we got to do something with him. And that's when they drove him probably 25 or 30 minutes out into the countryside, where they didn't just put him out on the side of the road, but they hit him intentionally. And quite frankly, folks, we would still not know where Danny was today had it not been for those folks surveying that property. When we interviewed them, they were pure evil in the flesh. They bragged about it. They talked about how, they'd have street cred. They'd have their stripes. They'd be respected on the streets because they'd done this murder. Well, what they did was they murdered a really nice young man. Oh, did I tell you about Scott Engel? He's a part of this too. He's charged with accessory after the fact to murder, attempted use of and fraudulent use of the credit cards of our victim, and grand theft. You see, he's the brains. The other two, they don't have, 25 brain cells between them. They couldn't figure out the technology, so they got Scott to try to figure out how they could fraudulently get money from our victim. So he had nothing to do with the murder, but he tampered with evidence. He created grand theft of the vehicle and all kinds of problems. It's not often that we encounter somebody that does a murder based upon 2 or 3 weeks of planning. But that's exactly what happened. Danny was just a good kid. And this was all a ruse because it all started, there was a cut on one of the wrists of JoJo. So Danny was trying to be his friend because they thought he was cut. And they were trying to create a relationship online with Danny. Danny's just being a good kid and wanting to comfort somebody who has an injury. The whole while, these two rascals here are planning to murder him just so they have street cred. How do you explain that? Well, you don't. You can't. Didn't have 25 brain cells between them. At the end of the day, they were locked up, charged with first-degree murder. There's still work to do on the case. We're having to coordinate between Lakeland Police Department, Flagler Sheriff's Office. We're doing crime scene work, and there's still a lot of questions that we've got to close up on this case. But as far as having a great case, it's unbelievable. But you know what shocks me, should shock us all? How did this moron and his brother, they're not twin morons, they're about a year apart, think he's going to put this kind of stuff. He creates this Facebook post. I'm sorry, not Facebook, but social media post, puts it out bragging on running the race after he does a murder and thinks he's going to get away with this. I can tell you Helen Keller could have seen all the evidence they left at the scene. Any questions?
It also says that they tried to transfer money into an account
Yes.
labeled Angel Lovato.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But it's when the overwhelming period of time when you have a murder, there's a relationship issue. Either it's they were ex-friends, they were doing dope together, they failed to pay off the bills, there's some kind of conflict here. Danny had no conflict. He was just trying to be a friend. And he was murdered. That's totally unacceptable. And we're going to do everything in our power, along with our great state attorney's office, to see that they never breathe another breath of air outside of prison. My heart goes out to Danny's family. They raised a good young man, and he didn't deserve this. And certainly, on behalf of the family, we're going to do a complete and thorough investigation, and I want Danny's family to know that we're going to do everything we can to make sure they're locked up and they can look outside of prison bars for the rest of their life. And that should be a long life at 18 and 19, and understand what they did was just really, really bad. Any other questions?
No previous record, right? Either of them?
Neither one of them had any previous criminal record, and that was a shock to us as well. How do you get so mean and so evil and have so much hatred? And they were gleeful. They were very, excited, and it was euphoric. The detective said it was unbelievable, their attitude during the interview. It wasn't, oh no, I'm caught, this is bad, I shouldn't have done it, no remorse. They were bragging about it. Bragging. Well, we're bragging about putting them in jail too. And we're real happy about that. So we are gleeful and happy that they're going to jail and then ultimately, upon their conviction, to prison for a long, long time. Sure makes it easier when they confess and lead you to all the evidence. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a good day.